There was a time when Four Corner Hustlers actually stood for four corners, representing a meager 6 square blocks on the west side, and ended up going through multiple different leaders, with one of the Four Corner Hustler leaders actually attempting to blow up the Chicago police station. We'll get to that later in this story. It all started back in the year of 1968, when two Vice Lord teenage boys had an idea of how to protect a certain area in the West Garfield Park neighborhood from invaders from outside the area that actually threatened the neighborhood with drug dealing, gangbanging, and violence. The idea of the Four Corner Hustlers was about one main thing: neighborhood protection. And that did not mean only protection for the members, but everyone that lived in the territory. The territory was Madison Street on the north to Jackson Boulevard on the south, and from Independence on the east to Pulaski Road on the west, and all the street corners in between. It was a lot of territory for a brand new gang. But 17-year-old Walter Wheat, born on April 11, 1951, had just left the unknown Vice Lords, and another 15-year-old Vice Lord named Marvin Evans made it happen. They organized it with another 15-year-old unknown Vice Lord named Freddie Gage, plus Richard aka Left Hand Goodman, Monroe Banks aka Money, and approximately 7 others. Freddie Gage would become second in command over this new organization. Within no time, the Four Corner Hustlers flipped the West Garfield Park Unknown Vice Lords, which pretty much closed the chapter on the Unknown Vice Lords' influence in the West Garfield Park. They formed a fighting gang, not a drug dealing gang or a gang that destroyed their own neighborhood. Instead, they were going to beat down any gang that came in their way. This idea was all put together at Dollar No Playground at the corner of Springfield and Wilcox. The Four Corner Hustlers had strict rules to abide by: no drug dealing, no drug using, not even marijuana, no mugging, no burglarizing, but shoplifting and stealing from delivery trucks was fully acceptable. Plus, any violence inflicted on rival gang members was acceptable too. Shootings, stabbings, and cracking skulls, whatever was needed to be done to show who was running the corners. One gang that was on a heavy recruiting drive by 1968 was the Supreme Gangsters, a Southside gang that started their West Side campaign in September of 1967 at Gladys and Keeler, which was just a block or two away from the original Four Corner Hustlers. The Supreme Gangsters were known for drug dealers and recruiting aggressively on the West Side. On February 14, 1972, Four Corner Hustlers and unknown Vice Lord gang members attended a Valentine's Day dance at 3906 Lexington Avenue at the Presentation Catholic Church. The dance was an invite-only situation, and Officer Henderson Arnold told everyone they must have a membership card to stay at the dance in the basement. 18-year-old Freddie Gage was the one that did not have an invitation, and Officer Arnold told him to leave. When he refused, a struggle happened between the officer and Gage, which resulted in Arnold's gun firing off, which caused a bullet to hit Officer Arnold in the face and neck. Afterwards, Four Corner Hustler Leo Walker came up with his .22 caliber and started shooting at Arnold, while Freddie Gage and Walter Wheat tackled him according to the court documents. As Officer Arnold tried to escape, he was being shot at. Arnold survived and needed surgery to repair the damages, as he was shot 3 times. It was at this point in time that Freddie Gage, aka King Freddie, was now sentenced to 10 years in prison for attempted murder. Plus, at this point in time was the first time Four Corner Hustlers were documented. However, they were not widely known, and the Four Corner Hustlers remained rather small, and they did whatever they needed to do to protect their turf. Plus, they hustled to make money without destroying their neighborhood with drugs, which they were heavily into robbing trucks and stores. The Four Corner Hustlers were well known on the West Side and legendary, but they remained in the four corners of the West Garfield Park in the early years. In the year of 1975, Walter Wheat was sent to prison for aggravated assault and other charges. He was to spend over 10 years in prison. At this point, without King Wheat or King Freddie, the Four Corner Hustlers began to be slowly seduced because the heroin trade that was forbidden by Walter Wheat and Freddie Gage. Around this time, the Black Souls were getting larger in numbers in Garfield Park and wanted to expand their drug trade. The new Black Soul leader was Wayne Edwards and was looking for new opportunity at Monroe and Pulaski. This corner was originally Four Corner Hustlers territory, but Wayne Edwards, aka Jack Bobo, was looking to make some profits. He offered to operate here respectfully, as they would team up against the Vice Lords and the Supreme Gangsters that would come into the area. This was the creation of the 440 Plus concept that united Four Corner Hustlers and Black Souls. This was a small start for the Four Corner Hustlers to be involved with the drug trade, although it was impossible for them to operate at a high level because it would fall under the radar in the imprisoned leadership. With drug profits came expansion, as the Four Corner Hustlers now moved into the Austin neighborhood. During the court case People v. Allen, police officer John Nee testified during a 1993 court proceeding against the Four Corner Hustlers that he had been watching their drug operations on Madison and Menard for 18 years. If you do the math, 18 years from 1993 is 1975, which is the same year Walter Wheat went to prison, and the same year that the Four Corner Hustlers began linking to the drug trafficking operations. At the time, Austin was converting into a major black community and was experiencing a racial strife. Different Vice Lord gangs were dominating Austin by then, but were mostly welcoming to the Four Corner Hustlers to come settle in these streets. And the Fours grew in numbers quickly and became larger in the Austin community. In April of 1978, the People's Alliance was formed, and the Vice Lords were one of the main organizations to put it together. The Vice Lords will only allow the Four Corner Hustlers into the People's Alliance if they joined the Vice Lords Nations as a branch. This decision was difficult for leadership to make, but in order to gain People's Alliance protection, the Four Corner Hustlers in prison joined the Vice Lords, as they were now kind of Four Corner Hustler Vice Lords. But on the streets, this did not mean the Fours were going around claiming Vice Lords. The Four Corner Hustlers on the streets remained an independent group. In the year of 1979, the El Rooks organization on the south side of Chicago handed down sanctions upon the Black P. Stones, demanding they cease existence or succumb to violence. This is when the Black P. Stones called upon allies from the west side, including the conservative Vice Lords, traveling Vice Lords, and insane Vice Lords were called upon from the Vice Lords, as well as the Four Corner Hustlers. Some of the hardest and craziest of the Four Corner Hustlers were called upon to flip Black P. Stone to Four Corner Hustlers, or many of the Stones went with the Vice Lord groups. Four Corner Hustlers were invited to settle and flip stones in South Chicago. This is how the Four Corner Hustlers came to the South Side and became major permanent fixtures in these communities. In late October of 1983, Freddie Gage was scheduled to be released from prison after doing 10 years for attempted murder of the Chicago police officer on the Valentine's Day shooting of 1972. On the day of his release, he celebrated by drinking some bad moonshine that ended up killing him. He died at the age of 29 years old. On November 1st, 1983, a massive funeral service was put together for Gage that brought out 5,000 people to his funeral. The funeral consisted of many members of the Vice Lords and Four Corner Hustlers and several other gangs. There was a massive line down Chicago Ave that caused one lane of traffic to be blocked, and police needed to direct traffic. This story made first page of the Chicago Tribune, but funny thing is, they called him a conservative Vice Lord leader and did not mention the Four Corner Hustlers. This shows that the Fours were not quite known yet, but this was soon to be changed. In 1985, Marvin Evans retired from the gang life and found religion, leaving just Walter Wheat and Monroe Banks as original leaders of the organization, but both of them was in prison at this time. In 1986, Monroe Banks was released from prison after doing time since 1975. Walter Wheat was released in the same year too. As soon as Banks hit the streets, he found that Four Corner Hustlers were selling drugs in small quantities and loved the money that came with it. Banks would show them a high level of dealing that would make the Fours richer than ever, with now the distribution of crack cocaine was the new business. He also created the Black Diamond symbol to represent the newfound profits and the new order. This was a big come up for the Fours, and this led to more violent behavior as killing over profits became more common. During the late 1980s, the future leader of the Four Corner Hustlers, Angelo Roberts, was one of the members that got caught up in a murder alongside of a Four Corner Hustlers co-leader, which was Eugene Ronnie. According to the court case of the People versus Ronnie, January 24, 1988, Chicago police found the dead body of Stephen Edwards found behind a Jewel grocery store located at 3552 West Grand Avenue in the West Hornbill Park neighborhood. The man was beaten to death, and tied up with torn strips of bed sheets around his face, neck, knees, and thighs. He had cuts dug into his chest that caused a lot of bleeding, and it appeared that Edwards had been kidnapped and tortured. The detectives then went to Edwards' address at 3841 West Adams in the West Garfield Park neighborhood, which is right in the middle of the original Four Corner Hustlers territory. Edwards was living in the basement of this building and was a drug addict. The landlord was interviewed and gave permission to the police to enter the building and search the basement. They also spoke to Ronnie. The police found evidence the murder happened in the basement, as the torn rags found on Edwards matched the bedspread that Edwards slept on in the basement. Ronnie told police that Edwards had been accused by his girlfriend, Caroline Lewis, of stealing from her, and she wanted him to leave her alone. And that's when she went to Ronnie to help keep Edwards away. In another incident sometime later in the month, Edwards and another man were cooking cocaine and heroin in a basement when a fight broke out. The fight was about how much drugs each would get. Ronnie and Angelo Roberts said they came downstairs to break up the fight. Ronnie and Roberts allegedly saw Edwards hit his partner with a stool. So Ronnie hit Edwards with a lead pipe in the back of the legs and twice in the head, which made it into a protection type of murder. Ronnie originally stated that Edwards left with two men in the car after the argument, but later admitted that he killed him, but made it look accidental or justified. It became conclusive that the murder was planned, and Ronnie was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Roberts, though, avoided charges and was later suspected of shooting a police officer in 1990, but managed to dodge conviction. The way he handled the case enhanced his reputation greatly. These younger fours were a new breed type of killers that followed every teaching of Monroe Banks, and they modeled after him. Banks was known to be ruthless and very serious about not letting competition get in his way. This led to increased gang wars in the very early of 1990s. This also led to the death of Monroe Banks on August of 1991. According to the History Channel show Gangland, he was shot while watching a man try to get a cat down from a tree. Then a member of the Black Souls shot him dead, which this intensified the wars between the Black Souls. After Monroe Banks was killed, the throne was wide open, and Walter Wheat was not going to step back. Instead, he appointed his soon-to-be son-in-law, Angelo Roberts. Angelo was only 21 years of age, but wanted to expand the Four Corner Hustlers into a super gang. He also brought upon the Spanish Four Corner Hustlers, which the Four Corner Hustlers were not only a black gang now and involved all races. Roberts set up a complex drug operation in the Rockwell Gardens housing projects and the Henry Horner homes, and was moving thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of crack and heroin within these buildings. The Chicago police clamped down on him and did a major raid on his operation, which got Roberts in jail. When Roberts got out of prison on June of 1994, he would encounter legal issues right away. It became rumored that after his release, he wanted to blow up the Chicago District 11 police station at 3151 West Harrison Street. It was also said that on July 25, 1994, Angelo Roberts plotted on the death of Walter Wheat. On this Monday of July 25, 1994, 43-year-old Walter Wheat was sitting in a 1982 automobile Regency, waiting for his friends to come out as they were in a clothing store in the 3800 block of West Chicago Avenue. As he sat there shirtless, 17-year-old Bobby Cooley rolled up on the car with a 9mm pistol. He then fired 2 shots into Walter Wheat's back and the back of the head. The founder/leader of the Four Corner Hustlers was now killed by his own gang. Angelo Roberts then attempted to buy all high-powered weapons in what he thought was a deal with drug dealers, as he attempted to buy a Laws anti-tank rocket in exchange for cash and drugs. It turned out that he was trying to buy from ATF agents. Somehow, there was no arrest at the scene because Roberts got suspicious and went into hiding for the rest of 1994. Authorities reported that Roberts wanted to use these weapons to blow up the police station. On January 16, 1995, at 1 a.m., CPD found the body of Roberts at 7009 South Vernon, right near the Park Monroe Apartments. He was found with his throat slashed in the back of a brown Chevy. No one has been caught in connections with his murder, but Roberts had a lot of conflict with the District 11 police, and some rumors say that the police kidnapped him and killed him, and some rumors say that the murder of Walter Wheat seemed off and Angelo maybe didn't kill him. After his death, Four Corner Hustlers would grow over 18,000 members. And plus, many members still pay homage to Angelo Roberts, Monroe Banks, and Walter Weed. But that'll be about it for this video. Make sure you like or dislike, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what y'all want to see next. And as always, stay blessed and stay well. Yeah, I'm out.